shit.
I'm so grown, I'm so godly. Even when alone, I'm never lonely.
What up, guys? Welcome back to another intergalactic experience with your girl Shandy the Martian. So for this video, I had actually attended a makeup class, and this is me going through that process. The class was like 3 hours long, but we're just gonna get into it, guys. So first, I've moisturized my face with the Nivea cream. I'm apologize in advance for all or any products that I don't remember the names of. They will be listed below. But I did moisturize my face and allowed that to dry down a little. Then I used the Milk Hydrating Primer, and I rubbed that in my face as well. So in this makeup class, we didn't use any foundation. We used all concealer, contour, and so forth and so on. So first, I am spot treating. Now, I no longer suffer from extreme hyperpigmentation, so I only spot treated the areas that I felt as though needed to be covered instead. Now we spot treated instead of color correcting, because you have to add more product the more you color correct. But as you can see with the brush, I am dabbing it. I'm picking up and placing back down in the same spot so that the product spreads evenly. As you see, there's no swiping, because when you're swiping, you create streaks, and streaking helps increase your chances of creasing. So you guys see my mirrors. I have 2 new mirrors that I had my aunt and uncle make for me, but we coming up. So then I take the same concealer. I'm sorry guys if I didn't say the name. It is the Too Faced concealer. I don't remember the name, but it will be in the description box. And I place that very lightly in across the lower half of my face, because when applying it and when buffering it out, it does spread, as you all could see. But like I said, I am doing it in a dabbing motion. Up, down, tap, 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 not swipe, swipe, swipe. Now throughout this entire process, I did not use any beauty blender. I used all brushes. So this was a new process for me, because I at least use a beauty blender somewhere down the road. But a little background, this makeup class was 100% virtual. So like I said, while I'm applying my makeup in the video or doing the recording, I was also in the class, so I was going step by step. It was very informative, very detailed, and very hands-on, although it was virtual. But back to what I am doing. I am concealing with the e.l.f. 16-hour concealer. I did find this at Target. All of the products I pretty much use are affordable, but this concealer was $6 at Target. No, I searched in Target, but the one I went to didn't have the darker colors. They only had the lighter colors. Target, Walmart, and all these other stores. You need to work on your color range, because I know for a fact I'm not the only one who noticed anytime you go to a Walmart, CVS, or Rite Aid, they always have the colors to help the lighter toned lighter skinned people. But when you need the darker tones, they're either locked or they don't carry them at all. But I did end up finding this concealer at Ulta, and it was $6. But the same thing I did with the foundation, I did with the concealer. I am taking this Real Techniques brush and using the lower tip of the brush, and I am tapping it in. The instructor told us you never want to swipe because swiping increases your chances of creasing. So although it may look a little crazy, it does get it obviously gets better because I wouldn't upload a video where I'm just looking crazy. So I did apply this to my chin jawline area, and I noticed that old habits die hard. I was dragging it down my neck to blend it out, but I did not drag on my face. So now, as you see, I have these tiny Tarte Shape Tape concealers. They were $10 at Ulta because I didn't feel like buying the large Shape Tape concealers because I didn't know which color I needed, so I just got real small ones. So that was convenient. So as you can see, I am just highlighting and don't clown me, guys. I know it may look a little crazy, but it's all with time. Everything takes time. When Picasso first started his paintings, they weren't masterpieces until they were finished. So all the areas that I am placing the concealer are the same places that the instructor told us. And after placing it, just like with the contour, I do leave the concealer to sit and oxidize, and that's a problem that I've had in the past with products. They've come out, my final looks have come out either ashy looking or casket ready, and that's because in the store it appeared as though it was my color, it was my match, and it would work out fine. But more than 50% of all makeup products, foundations, concealers, contours, oxidize. And what happens in oxidation is that once the product hits the air, the oil in that product begins to spread and dry out. So once the product oxidizes and not necessarily dry down 100%, the oil is spreading with that product. Now, not all products have oil, so if you see, like for instance, a dewy foundation, it will have more oil because dewy products are made to give you a dewy, a glowy, a glossy look. Dewy products will be more so for people with drier skin. Matte foundations or products will have less oil, and the chance of it oxidizing is lower versus your dewy, glossy products. So as you can see, I cannot get over how crazy it just looks. It looks, but you guys will love the outcome. So if you see me looking down, that's because, like I said, during this recording, I was actually in the class at the time, following her step-by-step instructions. So with the concealer, like I said, no sponges were used during this entire process. So I'm taking a Real Techniques 402 brush and tapping the concealer in the area. And the more you tap, the more it's going to spread. It's naturally going to spread. So I just tap it. And then I take the brush I use to spread out my contour and tap it just to blend the edges so it's more seamless. Now if you guys look at just my forehead, at the lower half of my face, you guys can see how the overall look is coming together. Now, like I said, just look at the forehead. You see how it's blended. There are no harsh lines of where my highlight and my contour meets. It looks like skin. And that's why a part of the reason I really enjoyed this class, and I really enjoyed how this overall look came out. But this class was a two-part class. So the first class was a self-application class, and the second class, which I took the following day after this was recorded, was a client class. So we learned how to apply makeup to other people. So that video is also in the process of being edited, so that will be up. I can't tell you when. It's all about when I get the time to finish editing it. But I did enjoy that process as well, because the client I use is the same client from the first video I uploaded of me doing makeup on someone else. And just like this class, it was very easy, very hands-on, even though it was virtual. This is the first makeup class I've ever taken, but by far it is the easiest, and I expect all classes to be this easy. But if you've seen, I just took some setting spray and sprayed the side of my face that I'm working on, and that was only to add some moisture to the product on my face to help blend more. And now I did take the concealer and go back in and do a little more spot concealing, just in areas that I felt needed a little touch. Although I wasn't finished with the blending process, I felt like the contour looked a little too harsh. But then after looking closer, I realized I didn't have to spot conceal because it was fine. So I'm just tapping the product into my skin, and I'm going over the same area a few times to make sure that it is evenly distributed. So I give you guys a little close-up of that and do the other side in the camera frame, or at least I try to stay in the camera frame. But you guys can see that the overall look is coming together, and I'm here for it. This looks so much like skin, the highs and the lows. I noticed that when I did get to my under eyes or around my eyes kept tearing up, and I just did not know what to do. In the class, a lot of people's eyes were tearing up, so everyone was, of course, asking for tips and tricks on how to keep their eyes from watering. Someone said use eye drops or keep a Q-tip around so you can clean out your eye, because it was mainly the inner corners, not the outer corners. My whole eyes wasn't watering, but yeah. So whatever extra under eye concealer was left on the brush, I did take it and blend it up onto my actual eyelid to help diffuse some of the nose contour. And as you can see, I do take it up a little into the brow. So I do add just a tad bit more concealer to the inner eye. And then I go in with the Real Techniques brush. I can't remember what brush this was, but I use it to blend out the nose contour. So fanning down the concealer that I added, because I don't want to sit too long to allow it to like oxidize and dry down some. But just remember, with every application, you are going to tap. The only time you will probably swipe is if you're doing eyeshadow. But with any of your bases, you will never swipe. You will always tap. So here I went in and did a little touch up, but now I'm prepping to set my face. I take the the Makeup Revolution setting powder, and this is either the shade yellow or cassava. I don't remember, but it will be in the description box. But I take another Real Techniques 402 brush, tap it in the product, dust, tap it on the edge of the container to get off as much product as I can. Then I go in and lightly tap and, of course, spread it out as much as I can. So this was a tip that I learned from, of course I'm in the class, but I learned a while ago from Beats by Deb. She suggested that to prevent flashback, you would take your setting powder and tap it lightly as you can, and immediately brush it off. So that way you're creating a thin layer of protection so that you can go in afterwards and bake if you want to. Now, I don't bake often. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Baking is a personal preference for most people. So I guess it just all depends on the look you're trying to go for. But after taking the Makeup Revolution powder, I did go on top of that with the MAC Studio Fix contour palette. It's a all powder palette. I'll put the name below. I'll make sure that it's below. But I did pack that on top of the setting powder and let that sit for a little, but you can barely tell. So for blush, I did use the Crayon Case blush palette. I'm sorry, I keep stumbling over my words. And but for my eyes, I used the, what did I use? Gosh, the P. Louise Rumor Base Shade 2 for directly under eye. The brush that I use is a MAC brush. I believe it's 242. Like I said, all that stuff will be in the description. So I take a Real Techniques blending brush and buff that out. And directly on my lid, I use the P. Louise blank canvas. I apologize if I get out of frame much, but yeah. So if you guys see how much my skin looks like skin, and I do have like a few pimples here and there. I have a few bumps here and there, so you can still see them under the foundation, but overall it still looks like skin. I just love this process. So I had to get me a snack, y'all, because this was, like I said, this is a 3-hour class, and I don't even remember the last time I ate before this. So I did take a Real Techniques 402 brush to blend that blank canvas into the Rumor 2 base. And our eyeshadow selection today will be the P. Louise Worldy palette. I do take this dark blue on the first row. It's called San Francisco, and this will be my shade. Now here I completely messed up. Not completely, because it's all fixable, but when working with eyeshadows, matte eyeshadows or glitters or pigments, it's best to layer a level of setting powder under your eye to catch any fallout. Catching the fallout will help prevent what I just did. So as you can see, there was a little fallout, and what I did was took a beauty blender and swiped it, and that doesn't help at all, because all that's there is setting powder. So it's sitting on top of your barrier, but at the same time it's setting with it. So that was a complete and utter mistake. So like I said, to prevent this, just make sure you add another layer of setting powder under your eye to catch any fallout. But all the colors I use will be down below. So I did use the purple from the Juvia's Place Zulu palette on the outer areas, and I'm taking a small Morphe brush. This is the 506, the Morphe 506, and I use that to blend the purple and the blue. And with this, I am going in a very, very circular motion when diffusing and applying. So Like I said, this is the only time where you will swipe. But yeah, so over the purple I did use a pink, but yeah. So to cut my crease, this is a tip that everyone uses now. You take Vaseline and you place it exactly where you want to remove any product. And the great thing about it is the Vaseline will only remove or take away what you want it to. It will not disturb any other unwanted areas. This is like a perfect hack. And I always keep Vaseline in the house so I don't have to buy unnecessary makeup wipes and stuff like that. But I do go back in with blank canvas, and let me get a little close up, and apply it back to the lid to cut that crease a little more. I'm sorry that it's a little blurry. I'll fix the resolution on the camera in a little bit. There we go. So with this, I know in the past I've struggled with taking my crease too high and trying to cut out the bottom shade, which in our case is the blue. So as you can see, I'm kind of erasing it. Alright, so for the lid, after allowing that to set a little bit, I do go back into the Juvia's Place Zulu palette and use this blue shimmer shade and the green shimmer shade right next to it for the lid. The lid! The lid! The lid! Shimmer shades are so easy to work with. They're like super creamy, and I had like no idea I knew they were creamy, but not to this extent. So I do take that purple and blend out the edge. And as you can see, I'm still not using my head and swiping away all or any of the fallout. These are the LA Girl liners that I use for my under eyes. So I did both the blue and the green on the lower lash line. Or not the lower lash line, the waterline. And I'm placing the purple on the lower lash line. So I did skip ahead to lips before finishing off my eyes. I applied my lashes off screen, but this is just a basic NYX brown lip liner I found from my local beauty supply store. It was like $1 and some change, probably less than that. But I do take the crayon case. I believe the shade is Raven. And apply that. Like I said, the lashes were done offline, and I did apply a little mascara to my lower lashes. But this is the final look, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. I know this video was a little on the longer side, but thanks for bearing with me. I know my lace is lifting a little bit, but shh, that's our secret. Thanks for watching the video. I'll catch you all in the next one. Beam me up. Some queens.
vibes. That's them queen vibes.